All right. I just wanted to do something really quick um, for my sealed event. I've already streamed the pack openings, and this is just going to be a quick thing on the Draft Sim deck builder. So for my players, I've linked this website for you. Just paste the deck list I gave you in this box. Then down here, our format is FDN. What the fuck? All right. DN Foundations. Hit submit. So here's our pool. You can mouse over a card to see what it does. There's several controls down here in the lower left. We can swap between our deck and our cards being in the side part. If you want to see a spread, you can spread it. If you want to sort by rarity, that's here, or by converted mana cost. We'll just leave it at color for now. You click on a card to add it to the deck. You want lands, you just click on the lands multiple times to add multiple lands. If I want to redo this deck or make a new one, I can just hit clear. Restarting will restart the whole pool. The build button is a build suggestion. I don't know exactly what they're using to determine this build suggestion, but they do have like kind of a rating thing here. My assumption is that they have, some basic algorithm or something that says, hey, these are the archetypes for this format. These are the best cards. These got to do it. We'll try and do this. I personally, I think it's probably an okay-ish place to start, but I don't know that I would play this deck unaltered, or at least check it before you play this deck, because I've done this once with a pool that had just huge amount of control, and it created a deck that was all control and like no win condition. They had like a few 1/1s, but it was like I don't think you can rely on, you know, Healer's Hawk to finish the job in 20 turns and not be killed. Like at some point, something's going to go wrong and your opponent's going to get a spell through. So let's go ahead and clear. So this is a way to do that. Well, actually, before we clear, export, you can hit copy list. And the format that it does this, we can paste this into a Word document. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. I may have one that I was already putting decks into. Yeah, here we go, deck lists. Okay, so these are my deck lists. The first one I tried to make myself. This is a Grixis deck, so basically it's and in fact, a lot of my guys in this event probably don't even know what that is. So all the color pairings have a name, and the 2 color pairings are all Ravnica guilds, and then the 3 color pairings, some of our planes, I don't even remember the set, like Alara or something. And then the enemy colors pairings are the clans from Tarkir. I can't even say I know most of these names myself anymore, but there's a few that I use, so I still use that term. But let me pull this over. So let's say I want to play, I think this is the auto deck right here. But I just hit the export. I'm going to demonstrate that again. Export, I'm going to hit copy list. Go into my Word document. Paste it in. Now this does a convenient feature, which is to put in your pool as the sideboard. I'm going to remove that in this case. When we put this in Tabletop Sim, my intention is just you guys build your decks, and all the decks you think of we'll put into a deck box. And if you need to make one on the fly, I think it'd be a little easier to make it outside of Tabletop Sim. But you're also free if you want, just leave the cards in there. Like, let's say you only have like 1 or 2 decks you want. Just leave these cards in, and then you'll have your sideboard. So, like, let's say there's some specific cards or strategies in the deck that aren't going to work for your opponent. Or let's say, you got some good hosers or something good that would deal with a strategy they have that you just chose not to include. Then, you could potentially just really quickly make another deck in the mod. But I think the easiest thing to do is just make your deck, copy it out, put it in a Word file, and then we can meet up and do that in Tabletop Sim. So let's go to clear. So, let's say, so we're going to do 40, for sealed, it's 40 cards. And my understanding is you want 16 to 18 lands for that. So let's see what we've got. So if we look at our lands, I mean, I always include an Evolving Wilds. But I don't know, let's just say we're going to play Rakdos or something. Well, I'm not too worried about it. You'll build your deck here. You'll put in the appropriate number of lands. The other thing about the suggester that I don't like is, let's see if it did it to this deck. It will put in non-basics that maybe don't really have much of a point. Right, so like this non-basic here, it produces blue for me. It does gain me a life when it comes in, but it comes in tapped. I'd rather not have that if I could help it. So keep an eye out for that in particular, lands that you don't think you need. Well, let's go ahead and open up Tabletop Simulator real quick. And I just want to demonstrate how to set up a deck box. All right, we're using MTG Deluxe Table Scripted. Give this a second to load. All right. So I like to use this deck importer. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my decks. You could also use a URL if you did it online. I'm going to give this a moment to download. So the builder generates tokens for me as well. So let's go ahead and make another deck. I also have a black-red. I was thinking about playing a Rakdos deck. really liked playing Rakdos in Innistrad with all of the devils and vampires. Okay, so we don't want to do this. Should have tested this on off camera. All right, what are you doing here? But let's move these decks. Whenever you move a deck of cards in Tabletop Sim, you have to click and hold it. So since I didn't move my deck, this should generate exactly where the other one is, and they won't combine. There we go. All right, now let's take a deck box. This is an infinite, so I have two separate decks here. I'm just going to get rid of this token stack because I'm going to put the tokens in the deck box as well. Oops. Mistake you see me make over and over is not picking up decks properly. So let's say I want a blue deck box. They also have gold. I'll just pull that out of the bag. And then we'll put these decks inside the box. We can do a search. Here's the decks. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure how best to name these decks. Let's take this deck out and let's see if I can give it a name. Here we go. Deck. We're going to name it. Well, first, let's see what deck this is. Search. Okay, so this is the Rakdos deck. So just down here, and I could give it a description. So then 40 Rakdos. I don't have to search. The next item I pull out of this is going to be my second deck, and then the tokens. One thing to keep in mind about the names is you could be vague about it because your opponent's going to see the name. If you're worried about something like that. All right. Now, let's clear everything I have, and I could upload all the decks that I've made into this deck box. And what I can do with it now is save object. As sealed deck box or some other name. And now, so let's go main menu. Let's say I'm, my friend's no longer hosting, I'm playing with another friend on another client. It doesn't matter. I have saved that deck box object, and it's now on my end in my files. You can see I'm in Spearhead now. I'm not even on the magic table. So I go to Objects, Saved Objects. This blue one is the sealed deck box I just made. I can make as many copies of it as I want. And then there's my Rakdos deck. Oh, wrong player. I think I'm white. And here's my cards. So that's the plan. Now, you're not restricted to any of this stuff for our games. If you have a website you prefer to build on, use that website. There is no issue with that whatsoever. I do suggest making a deck box with, if you want, do one maybe with your full pool, and then do another box with your pre-constructed decks, and that might make it a little easier to sideboard between games. Um, Otherwise, we just need to make sure you have your deck box with your cards on your client, and then you'll be able to play with your opponents without any trouble. And again, one more thing about the builder, like I say, just always go through that deck and make sure you're happy with it. Because this build wizard here is just a build suggester. Okay, it's up to you to build a deck. Nobody playing is particularly played in a while. I'm classically a weak Magic player, but I've won a few games with real players. So don't sweat this stuff. The whole point is for us to have fun, and the point of this format, honestly, I hate to say it like this, it's kind of to have a bad deck to give us an opportunity to just play the game, right? Just have fun playing the game. We're not in some tournament at a store where we have to finish our games within so many minutes. Uh, Otherwise, that's it. So try to relax and just game. Don't sweat it, and try not to be too anal, right? So there's a lot of rules interactions in Magic the Gathering that aren't intuitive, and there's a good chance that your opponent doesn't understand, the way that things stack or layer. Classically, I think I just brought this up. So I drew 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds when I was a kid. Um, And I tell you, when I was a kid, nobody would even buy them off me or trade them off me. Nobody knew how to use a Lion's Eye Diamond. I had to look it up recently. And what was messing me up, and really everybody in my community, is we were under the impression that your card didn't leave your hand until after you've already paid for it. So, in the popular imagination of even the people I was talking to for advice when I was a kid, um, you sack the Lion's Eye Diamond, get the mana, and your hand is gone. So unless you're paying for something that's on the table, it's really not doing anything. The way it actually works is you can play a card, then sack the diamond to pay for the card, and then your hand gets dumped. And that could be very interesting, especially if you're doing something like, say, you just a reanimate or something like that, right? Like just a return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand, right? Like imagine, you know, uh, turn 1, I've got a swamp. Return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand and 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds. I've got 7 mana on the table. I sack a Lion's Eye Diamond or whatever for the reanimate. So before that resolves, sack the other one. So I've got 5 mana floating in a swamp. I could potentially play a 6 mana creature out of my graveyard. Like it's actually they oracled Lion's Eye Diamond. I think you can't do that anymore, but I forget. But it's just that's a tangent. But it goes to show that try not to get too anal. If you're more familiar with the rules than your opponent, um, don't let them play wrong, but try to be patient and explain what's going on. If you find out after the fact that you made a mistake, just let the opponent know. Like there's no money on the line here. There's no prizes or nothing. This is just for fun. And I think it would be better for us to play correctly um, and be honest with each other than to walk away with the win. I was telling my friend a story recently about a buddy of mine for SoulCal 3. There's like an adventure mode. And he was like, "Oh, my character always has a perfect record. My character is never lost." And we were like, "Okay, whatever." So he was playing it at in my barracks room. This was during the army, and I remember he lost a match, and he starts freaking cussing and swearing, freaking out, and then restarts the game. And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he says, "As long as it doesn't show up on my record, it doesn't count." No, sorry, guys. You just gotta own up to it. You lost. Or if you played wrong, you played wrong, but just fess up so everybody can get better. Your opponent will learn, hopefully, what went wrong in that last game, and you'll probably remember it better too. Um, and it's a good thing to understand the way this game works a little better, I think. All right. Well, I just wanted to do a real quick overview of this for you. I actually recorded this ages ago, before I even split up the pool. But right when I tried to start the stream, I got an error that it failed, and I had no idea. So that's it. Hope that helped. I hope you guys are able to get your decks together, and we'll be able to start playing soon.